speech. It's my pleasure. I hope that I'm still their favorite grandson after this speech. I'm their only grandson, so I think I will be. I just want to say that I just want to congratulate them first of all, and say that I feel really grateful to be giving this speech, to be up here, to be asked to have given this speech. Without Grandma, I would have never had the best brisket in the world, and without Pops, I wouldn't know what rhymes with Ankin. It's thinking, in case you know. But in serious, I want to say it is an honor to give this speech. I'm a little in awe about 60 years of marriage. This is the diamond year, and I guess before that it's the gold year, and it's the ruby year before that. For 40 years, the gold year is 50, and the silver year is 25 years of marriage. And before that, I guess anything less than 25 years of marriage isn't worth all that much. But I guess it gets more valuable each year, so I guess maybe the Berkshire Hathaway stock comes next after 60 years of marriage. And also I learned that after 50 years of marriage, you qualify for a commendation from the president. So Grandma and Pops, if Obama calls you, it's not a prank call, just accept the call. But yeah, I think that 60 years of marriage is really impressive, and I think before I go on, I just think we should give a toast to Harvey and Terry. So yeah, Shelley asked me to give this speech, and to do this, I talked to her, and I talked to Pops' siblings. Susan and Uncle Chuck and Uncle Milty, who my spell check wanted to call Uncle Milky. So I talked to them, and I also talked to Pops and Grandma, and they gave me a lot of information. So this speech is going to be based on things that they told me. And everything that they said, by the way, was completely off the record, all the mean things. So I think you'll be happy with what. I guess I'll begin with one of my own memories. Pops and Grandma taking care of me whenever I came up. Pops always showed me magic. He had my nose for about 5 years. One memory of my own that I'll share is when I stayed with them for a while when I was about 10 years old. I was by myself. It was the first time I stayed with them, and I was a little nervous. I was sleeping downstairs in their basement, and I couldn't sleep. So I don't know if Grandma remembers this, but I woke up and I went to her because I couldn't sleep. And she made me some milk, and she warmed some up, and she gave me some cookies, and then she sent me back down to bed. But I still couldn't sleep, actually, so I went back up to her again, and that time she just pulled me into bed with her, and I slept next to her eventually that night. So that's a good memory I have. I was going to tell a story about how I tried to find an anniversary speech on the internet, but that's all I'll say about that. I'm not going to say anymore. I just wanted to acknowledge all the people who are here because of Harvey and Terry. Of course, there's my mom, Andrea, and there's Shelley, her big sister, and of course there's my cousins, Sarah, and Lisa, and Julie, and myself. And of course there's their husbands, Louise and Kevin, and their children, Oscar and Oliver and Jake's soon-to-be brother or sister. And of course there's the boyfriend, Frederick, and there's all the non-relatives, all the friends that are here today because of them. And I think that's really wonderful. I think it's awesome, actually. But how did it all start? How did the 60 years begin? And I had to do some research to find that out. I know you're all burning to know, but it actually begins in 1948. An organization called the Southern Illinois Jewish Federation, which is organized to help Jewish people meet each other. And they're still around, actually. They're responsible for their marriage. So they set up a lot of activities. This is 1948, a year World War II's ended. A lot of GIs are back. Harvey and Terry are at Washington University. Pops is a Sammy. 1948 is the year that Wolf Blitzer, Rick James, Cat Stevens are all born. The first monkey astronaut, Albert I, is launched into space. in the year that the Big Bang Theory was proposed, and also the year that Chaim Weizmann is elected as the first president of Israel. So it's a big year. In the midst of all this, there's a love story going on. So Harvey meets Terry at a gathering put on by the Southern Illinois Jewish Federation, and he's smitten. Terry has it going on. She has beauty and brains, and according to Pop's sister Susan, she has a body to die for. So he asks her out on a date, and they go see a movie. And there's a lot of good movies out that year. There's The Red Shoe and The Treasure of Sierra Madre, and there's Red River, and there's also Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. So we can imagine they saw any one of those movies. But there was a problem in that they lived about 20 miles from each other. So Harvey had to take a bus all the way out to Belleville from Granite City. And he would take the bus out there, and then he'd pick her up, and then ride the bus back to Granite City, see a movie, and then after the movie was over, they'd go back out again, and Pops would come back. So it's a lot of bus riding, but of course it was worth it. Eventually, I learned on their first date that Pops was yawning a lot, and that gave the impression that he wasn't that interested. So I guess at that point, Terry was she just wasn't sure how to feel really about Pops at that time. But it worked well enough that they went on another date after that. It was one of Terry's friends, Iris Hafner. It was her birthday party, and she invited Harvey out to the birthday party. And of course, needless to say, he didn't yawn that time. So they were dating at that point, and Terry, as we all know, is an excellent cook. And when I asked her to describe one of the first meals she made, she talked about some breaded veal chops that he devoured and kind of won his heart, I guess. But when I asked Pops about a meal that she had made, he talked about a salad dressing made with 7-Up. But I guess you learned pretty quickly. But yeah, so back in 1948, they're a young couple, and at one point, Harvey invites Terry to his house to meet his parents, and this is a big point in their relationship. So Terry is going to meet Harvey's parents for the first time, and needless to say, she does very well. She impresses them, and afterwards, Harvey's dad says to him that if you're not serious about this girl, you shouldn't be wasting your time. And so that was when things really heated up. And soon after that, they were married. On October 19th, 1949, they had their wedding at the Coronado Hotel in St. Louis. Everyone I talked to said it was a beautiful wedding. Of course, like all marriages, at first it required some adjustment on both of their parts. As we know, Pops is a little impatient, but they've always made it work. Terry speaks softly and carries the big stick, as they say. And they started putting together a family. It was Shelley first, and then it was my mom, Andrea, and then it was the four of them in St. Louis. And as Pops, I've heard that Pops attributes success to two words, and those words are yes, dear. And they struck a good balance. I think we can all agree that that's the case, that there's always a love and understanding between them. So time's running short. I'm going to abandon them in the mid-50s and just kind of go to the conclusion. There's a lot to tell, but I'm just going to whiz through it and say that we all know there were years of traveling and eating, friends, family, a wonderful family that they raised together. The business that they built from scratch, where the newest employees been there for 10 years, and the friends they've made, Jim Henderson and the Hoffmans and the Prices and the Bergers and the Missenbaums, and too many friends to name, many of whom are here today. And then, of course, I have to mention their support and commitment to Israel and Jewish causes, and their donations to the B'nai Emunah Synagogue and Hillel. I get letters in the mail all the time from Hillel thanking me for the donations that I've been getting. Thank you. And then, of course, there's the Torah that they purchased that I got to use in my bar mitzvah. And, of course, there's Operation Food Search, which fed the homeless. And I just want to say that they really have been a model as people and as a couple for me and for many of us, I think. And I think that's why we're here today, to celebrate their life and honor their marriage and the amazing lives they've led. So cheers again, and happy 60th anniversary.